Change management is very hard. Skepticl? Take a look at Intel's latest quarterly report to learn why. As the MarketWatch headline makes clear, investors, at least for the moment, haven't been receptive to Intel's report. And this script was written about a week ago. In the interim, investors have piled back in to some extent into Intel stock. But at the time of writing this script, a drop of 10% was experienced by Intel investors. And that drop of 10% in share price is not likely what Bob Swan, Intel CEO, expected. Yet the drop is now history. What in the call ended up driving Wall Street analyst optimism about Intel off a cliff? Wallace Witkowski, who wrote the MarketWatch story, zeroes in on a big drop in data center sales, usually the crown jewel of an Intel quarterly report. And Witkowski notes a decline of 7% to $5.9 billion versus analyst estimates of $6.21 billion for the quarter. More detail about the big drop in data center sales can be found in a story ran on the Seeking Alpha website. And here, the miss is actually much more pronounced. The takeaway from the Seeking Alpha bullet is a drop of actually 47% quarter over quarter after 2 quarters of 30% growth due to the pandemic-related economic strain. Now, at the same time, cloud revenue was up 15%, but this is a big drop quarter over quarter for Intel. Witkowski, in his story for MarketWatch, considers this enormous drop in a segment over what has become Intel's most lucrative market to Intel losing shares to AMD. At the time of that report, I wanted to wait for AMD's report to test the notion, but in AMD's report, in fact, AMD did not report a comparable drop. In fact, they reported an increase in their data center business. Intel CEO Bob Swan is reported to have touched on some progress on correcting well-publicized obstacles to Intel evolving to 7mm semiconductor fabrication. And let's just take a listen here, or read a transcript of what Swan is reported to have said. Last time we spoke, we had identified an excursion. We had root caused it. We thought we knew the fix. Swan said, now we've deployed the fix and made wonderful progress, but nonetheless, we're still going to evaluate third-party foundry versus our foundry across those 3 criteria, and the call will be towards the end of this year, early next year. But Swan's use of phrases like we thought we knew the fix and made wonderful progress, but nonetheless, are disingenuous comments. How wonderful is that, actually? It isn't wonderful. And should a CEO in an earnings conference call be, to use a colloquial phrase, flip with the analysts in attendance with that type of a kind of off-the-cuff comment or the use of an abstraction, wonderful, when in fact it isn't wonderful because Intel continues to explore outsourcing this fabrication. So that doesn't engender trust in the analyst community. The report is did Swan think before he blew off wonderful progress as something inconsequential to a bigger decision on how to build out Intel's 7mm fab process? The report is a testimony to the difficulties a CEO like Bob Swan faces when confronted with the need for a deep change on how to engage with the public and the finance press. Intel's board of directors needs to take a long look into what may be holding Swan back from doing a better job on these calls. They should also practice some if this then that analysis based on this latest quarterly report. If Intel's CEO is engaging, Bob Swan engaging as he appears to have done with outside contacts, meaning the analysts in attendance at this call, how is he engaging with his internal contacts? How much of Intel's difficulties can be attributed to how the CEO is working with contacts? Is the question of whether Intel builds the new fab in-house or not such a big deal? Or is our CEO making a big deal out of it? My name is Ira Michael Blonder. I'm the CEO and founder of IMB Enterprises, Inc. We are an advisory firm. We work with C-suite executives at early stage enterprise software businesses to, for example, help reframe problems. If your organization isn't familiar with the concept and practice of reframing, and you could use some help in that area, and I would just offer some endorsement of reframing as a terrific way to free up opportunities that might be buried by an incorrect approach to problems. We can help you to practice that kind of reframing. Calls are initial short calls, meaning telephone calls, are always free. So please don't hesitate to give me a call if you have something you want to talk about. My number is 631-673-2929. Our website address is www.imbenterprises.com, and you'll find a blog on our site with over 2,000 posts going back to 2011 on the topics germane to running an enterprise software business. Please also visit my personal Twitter page at Mike the Bebop, and speak with you next week.